welcome to Season 2, episode number 14 of Pro Wrestling's Top 50. I'm your host, Travis McNeil, and today we continue our countdown of the top 50 matches in Impact Wrestling history with match number 37 on our list, which is the X Division title match between the champion Samoa Joe and the challenger Christopher Daniels from the TNA Final Resolution 2006 event held back on January the 15th of 2006. This match was peak Samoa Joe X Division era. So when he came in the summer of 05, it was like an absolute revelation in TNA. He added so much, steam to the X Division, and he really just helped give TNA the kick it needed. And it was perfect timing for him because he was starting to, wind down a little bit in Ring of Honor, having lost the championship to Austin Aries at the end of 04. And this just felt like a nice, logical step for him. And they made him a complete, destroyer juggernaut. And they did such a good job with his early undefeated run. It was excellent. So this match started its build in that summer. So they had Samoa Joe win the Super X Cup over AJ Styles. They involved Christopher Daniels in it. That led to the three-way feud with the legendary three-way at Unbreakable. And this all lent itself to the Elimination X match held back at Genesis of 2005. So it was essentially like a Survivor Series match, but with the stars of the X Division. The heel team ended up winning that match. Christopher Daniels and Samoa Joe were the final two survivors. Christopher Daniels at this point was just an absolute great scumbag. And at the end of that match, he kind of tried to buddy up with Samoa Joe, and they basically did not a double turn per se, because Joe was already a heel, but they turned Daniels face through Joe destroying him. So Samoa Joe beat him down at the end of that match, laid him out, gave him a muscle buster on a chair, left him bloody, and then in just a great visual, he soaked his towel that he would wear around his neck to the ring in Daniels' blood. And then for the next couple of months, he would wear this bloody towel around, whenever he would go to the ring, and it was great. So AJ Styles, who had quite the rivalry with Daniels throughout 2005, started to stick up for Daniels, basically being in a, I don't like this guy, but we have that mutual respect. That X Division code that I mentioned the other day in the Joe and Christian match video. So that led to AJ and Samoa Joe, with Joe winning the X Division title. So this match at Final Resolution was basically like the big grudge match. So you had Joe defending the title against the man that he had laid out, Christopher Daniels. Joe, of course, wears the bloody towel to the ring, to immediately play those mind games with Daniels. And this match was just so good. Chris Daniels, for a guy that throughout his career, I'd say was probably more predominantly a heel and a guy that's a great promo and everything like that, man, he makes a really good, scrappy underdog babyface, and that was never shown any better than in his matches with Samoa Joe. So he brings the fight to Joe right away, which was great. He sticks and he moves and he avoids offense till Joe essentially just cuts him off and just beats him down. Samoa Joe's at his absolute, most ruthless best during this match. And it's just the little things he does. At one point, he puts an STF on Daniels, and he just takes his thumb and starts driving it into the skull of Daniels. It was vicious, and I loved it. Daniels, what works for him earlier in the match, in the early goings with his speed and his, evading tactics, that stops working. He goes for a lion salt, and Joe kind of does this, signature sidestep, and Daniels just completely misses it. So what does Chris Daniels do? He has to go outside the box, and he actually hits a Death Valley driver on Samoa Joe. It looked awesome. Joe wasn't expecting it. It was a great display of power. And then they do the opposite. So Daniels kind of goes for a power bomb on Joe out of the corner. And what does Joe do? He counters it into a Hurricane Rana, basically just showing, hey, you can go with offense that I wouldn't expect from you. I can do the same. I am the X Division champion. Even though I wrestle more like a heavyweight, I am the X Division, and I am the champion. Daniels ends up hitting the BME, the best moonsault ever, for a really close near fall. And from there, Daniels' game plan sort of falls apart, right? What he used at the start, no longer working for them. he hits one of his biggest moves and Joe's able to kick out. So he ends up just going for broke and he hits an absolutely phenomenal slingshot elbow drop to the floor. So Joe's lying on the arena floor. Daniels is in the ring. He just slingshots himself out. Kind of moves to the side a bit and lands that elbow drop down on Joe. It looked great, but that was really Daniels' last bit of offense. After that, he took a lot of, out of himself with that move, and Samoa Joe just proceeds to destroy him. He hits the Ole kick out on the floor. It busts Daniels open. Daniels manages to rally one more time, and he goes for Angel's Wings, but just collapses from his own blood loss. He exerted his power on the DVD earlier. He, put his body at risk with the slingshot elbow, and now he's bleeding, and he just has nothing left. Samoa Joe hits the muscle buster. He grabs the coquina clutch, the choke. Daniels is able to get to the ropes, which again, shows that Daniels isn't just ready yet, quite yet, to stop fighting. But what does Joe do from there? He brings the chair in. He hits the muscle buster on the chair. Christopher Daniels is dead. AJ Styles comes running out to try to put a stop to it. And then just one of the best finishes you're going to see, just for everything that it accomplished. Samoa Joe teases putting the choke on Christopher Daniels to put him out of his misery. And he looks at AJ Styles dead in the eyes. And what he does instead, he releases his grip. And he just proceeds to cave Daniels' skull in with knee after knee after knee. Very reminiscent of how he won the ROH title initially from Xavier. He just knees in Daniels' head until AJ Styles eventually throws in the towel. Again, the towel very symbolic in this whole feud to basically say it's enough, Joe. You've proved your point. And this of course would lead to these three continuing along with their three-way feud and having a couple of rematches from there. This match is great. I love, I've mentioned before, if you've watched these videos, I love the Vader versus Sting style match of the undersized face and the monster heel. These guys did an excellent job with this match. It is well worth your time and effort. And again, if you watch that whole early Samoa Joe run, it's even better, right, in the overall encompassing story of it. You can watch this match on Impact Plus, of course. You can follow by subscribing to the account here on YouTube to ensure that you never miss a video. You can follow on Instagram and Twitter at Wrestling50. And you can please join me again tomorrow as we continue to count down Pro Wrestling's Top 50.